Poker doesn't destroy people. Their minds do. Every grinder has faced it. That moment when logic fades and emotion takes the wheel. The pulse quickens, the face burns, the brain screams, "How could I lose that hand?" That's the moment the enemy wakes up. The one that doesn't sit across from you, but inside you. The silent killer of bankrolls, dreams, and careers. We call it tilt. Tilt isn't a bad beat. It's what happens after the bad beat. It's the storm that starts when pride refuses to accept reality. You know that feeling, the urge to click again, to chase, to prove you're right. You think you're fighting the cards, but really, you're fighting yourself. That's when poker stops being a game and becomes a mirror. And what you see in that mirror will decide your future at the table. Most people think poker is about skill, math, or probability. But the deeper you go, the clearer it becomes. Poker is a battle of the mind. Tilt is your inner beast. It hides behind your confidence, your pride, your need to win. It waits, patiently, for that one hand that cracks your armor. And when it finds it, it consumes you. That's why so many talented grinders vanish. They don't go broke because of variance. They go broke because they never learned how to face themselves. Every professional you admire has been there. They've broken monitors, cursed the cards, slammed the mouse and then learned the most painful truth. Until you master your emotions, you'll always be the weakest player at the table. Tilt doesn't care how good you are. It doesn't care how much you've studied, how many solvers you've mastered, or how many charts you've memorized, because tilt attacks the core, your emotional stability. It starts with a whisper, just one more hand. Then it grows, "You deserve this pot." And before you know it, logic is gone. You're not playing poker anymore. You're gambling against your sanity. The grinders who survive aren't the ones who play the most hands. They're the ones who know when to stop, when to breathe, when to walk away before the storm inside takes control. Tilt isn't beaten by aggression, it's beaten by awareness. Let's get real. Every grinder has tilted. If someone says they haven't, they're either lying or they've never pushed themselves hard enough. Tilt isn't a weakness, it's a signal. It shows you where your ego still lives. It shows you how much power the game still has over your emotions. The best players in the world don't eliminate tilt. They befriend it, they study it, observe it, and use it as a compass. When you feel the heat rising, that's your cue. That's your reminder that something deeper is speaking. The question is, will you listen or will you burn? The line between greatness and self-destruction is thin, razor thin. Tilt is the edge you walk every time you sit down at a table. Some days, you'll walk it with balance. Other days, you'll fall. But what matters is what you do after the fall. Because poker, like life, always gives you another hand. And when you rise again, something shifts. You're no longer chasing the win, you're chasing mastery. That's the moment when a grinder becomes something greater, not just a player, but a mind warrior. The battlefield isn't made of chips and cards, it's made of thoughts. Every decision, every hesitation, every flicker of emotion, and it's all data. The real pros don't react, they read. They don't chase losses, they study patterns. Because they understand one sacred truth. Tilt doesn't start on the table. It starts in your thoughts. If your inner dialogue is chaos, your gameplay will be chaos. If your mind is calm, your strategy becomes sharp as a blade. That's why the elite grinders meditate, visualize, and train their focus like athletes. Because when the brain is in control, everything slows down. The noise fades, and the cards finally start to speak. You've seen it. The player who's winning then suddenly loses control. The energy shifts, and everything collapses. That's not luck. That's the invisible hand of tilt. It doesn't break you once. It breaks you slowly. It makes you question your instincts, your preparation, even your worth. But if you survive it, If you stare it in the face long enough, you'll see something extraordinary. You'll see yourself, unmasked, because tilt strips away the illusion. It shows you who you are without the game. And that's when your real evolution begins. Poker has its silent heroes and its ghosts, brilliant players who had everything, talent, skill, courage, but lost the one thing that truly mattered, control of the mind. Tilt destroys slowly. It doesn't arrive with a scream. It hides behind anger, behind just one more try. And when you finally notice, you're already playing against yourself. There are stories no one tells. Players who won millions in one night and lost it all the next, not from bad luck, but from pride. They started fighting the cards and ended up fighting the mirror. In 2017, a young American grinder, known online as Ace Storm, was unstoppable. He crushed tournaments, gave interviews, inspired thousands, but every loss lit a fire he couldn't control. More sessions, more bets, more tilt, until one night in Las Vegas, he misclicked on a massive hand. He lost it all. Tilt consumed him, and in 3 hours, his entire bankroll was gone. He walked away from the table, vanished. 2 years later, a video appeared. It was him, calm, centered, almost reborn. He said, "Tilt destroyed me, but it also showed me who I really am." He didn't come back as a player. He came back as a teacher of the mental game, and his first lesson was simple. You don't lose in poker when you lose chips. You lose when you lose your head. What defines a true grinder isn't how much he wins, it's how much he can come back. Because every player breaks at some point. Every player doubts himself. But only a few turn collapse into fuel. The human mind is like a shuffled deck, chaos begging for order. And the greats, they rebuild, slower, sharper, stronger. When a grinder rebuilds, he doesn't seek excitement, he seeks balance. He plays not to prove something, but to understand something. He learns to lose without breaking, to win without arrogance, to face the tilt and smile, because tilt never disappears. It just changes roles, from enemy to mentor, from chaos to consciousness. And when you cross that line, you never play the same game again. In the end, poker is just a mirror, a reflection of who you are when everything goes wrong. Every loss, every tilt, every impulsive move, they weren't mistakes. They were lessons disguised as pain, tests from your own mind asking, are you ready for more? Because the real game was never on the table. It was always inside you. The cards change, the opponents change, but your mind, that's the one constant, and mastering it, that's how legends are made. Tilt will come back. It always does. But next time, you won't run. You'll face it. And you'll smile because you'll know it's the final test that separates the average from the extraordinary. Breathe, observe, and remember, control isn't about not feeling. It's about not drowning in what you feel. That's how true masters are born, not under the spotlight, but in the silence of discipline, in calmness, in courage, in the patience to keep going when everyone else quits. And that's what Mind of a Grinder stands for, a brotherhood of disciplined, fearless minds who don't just play cards, they play life with purpose. If this message spoke to you, your real game has already begun. Subscribe now. Hit the bell. Share this video with a friend who needs to hear it. And remember, chips come and go, but your mind, that's your true bankroll.